Alright, so this is my first reaction video. I'm kind of nervous. I haven't done any of these before, but I'd like to go through it. Let me introduce myself. My name is Emmanuel. I'm an educator. I'm a science educator living in Ghana, and I want to do a reaction video on some educational material that I came across on YouTube. I often search YouTube and watch a lot of educational material and some for entertainment, but today I was thinking, why not just do a reaction video so that at least I can create something with it rather than just consuming it. So let's get straight into it. So let's look at it. This one is Kohlberg's 6 Stages of Moral Development. So let's go straight into it.
Lawrence Kohlberg's theory claims that our development of moral reasoning happens in 6 stages. The stages themselves are structured in 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. To understand this better, imagine a conflict at school. There is a fight in the schoolyard. 2 ninth-graders are beating up Tom. Those who watch the fight are at different stages of moral development. Let's see what they do and how they justify their behavior. At stage 1, we make moral judgments based on obedience and punishment. Finn's sense of good or bad is directly linked to whether he gets punished or not. Finn sees what is happening to his friend and wants to help, but he doesn't because he is afraid the teacher may punish him if he gets caught fighting. He asks himself, how can I avoid punishment?
Actually, this is often seen when I go to work and where I teach, or when I go. Right now, I haven't been posted exactly, but where I was posted previously, I would often see something like this where students being afraid of getting a punishment just because they would report somebody else who was doing something wrong. I often see this. That one, this is in the JHS, so they're like 12 years old or so. Alright, let's continue.
At stage 2, we are motivated by self-interest. Mary decides to intervene and help Tom. She knows that she might get punished, but she also knows that she could become a victim herself someday. If she helps Tom now, he might help her in the future. She is asking herself, what's in it for me?
Okay. We also see a lot of this in schools as well. I've seen that among 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and so forth. But I also see it in adults. There are adults who think exactly this way as well. So I wonder if it's dealing with if these stages are based on age, or it doesn't really matter what age the person is, and people can be at any level no matter what age they are.
At stage 3, interpersonal accord and conformity guide our moral judgment. Betty sees the fight and wants to intervene, but when she realizes that all the others are just watching, she decides not to get involved. She wants others to see that she is a good girl who is conforming with the ethics of the community. She asks herself, what do others think of me?
Okay, she asks, what do others think of me? That's also another one. A lot of people base their morality on what other people will think. I think this one, we often see it mostly in the modern world. I think that's one of the things we often see.
At stage 4, we value authority and want to maintain social order. When the teacher sees the group fighting, he immediately steps in and shouts, "Stop! Fighting at school is forbidden." He feels that, above all, it is important to follow the rules, otherwise chaos breaks out. He feels it is his duty to uphold the rules that sustain a functioning society. He asks himself, how can I maintain law and order?
Okay. This one, for some reason, to me, it also merges with the stage two, where the self-interest. All of them, in a weird way, have to deal with self-interest. I think, yeah, I think all of the stages have to deal with self-interest in a way. Um, Maintaining social order and authority, like following the rules, is it? Do people not do that because they're looking to their own self-interest? Doesn't everything fall back to the self-interest of the individual? Is that not what it actually is? I don't know. Um, can this be a standalone thing? Authority and maintaining social order? Could it be standalone? Can any of these stages be standalone? Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out.
At stage 5, we understand rules as a social contract as opposed to a strict order. Jessie, who watches from afar, is not sure how she feels about this. To her, rules make sense only if they serve the right purpose. Obviously, the school rules prohibit fighting, but maybe Tom deserves to finally learn his lesson. Just yesterday, he punched a young girl from grade 1. She asks herself, does a rule truly serve all members of the community?
Okay, that's a good question too. Does a rule truly serve all the members of a community? I mean, Tom punched a girl the previous day, and now he's getting beat up. Is it his just desserts? Is it something that he deserves? That's very difficult to say. It's very difficult to say. And if it's a social contract that we go into when it comes to rules and following rules, does that mean that people are morally justified to not follow the social contract? Um, it's a weird one. Okay.
At stage 6, we are guided by universal ethical principles. All those involved now have to face the headmaster. He first explains the school rules and why they exist. He then clarifies that rules are valid only if they are grounded in justice. The commitment to justice carries with it an obligation to disobey unjust rules. The headmaster's highest moral principle is compassion. He believes that all people should learn to understand each other's viewpoints and that they don't feel alone with their feelings. He asks, what are the abstract ethical principles that serve my understandings of justice?
Okay. This one is strange to me. Universal ethical principles here. So if all the rules end up going to serve a higher sort of justice, where does that justice come from? Is it something built into the world? Is it something that human beings create? If it's built into the universe, if it's built into the laws of the universe, why don't we see it happening in the natural world? I mean, in the natural world, we see a lot of, well, unjust things. Even in our human world, we see a lot of unjust things. In the human world, you'll see that lots of deeds go unpunished. Lots of murder. Most murders are not actually solved. Criminals don't come to justice. Most rapes, it's the same thing. I don't think I should say that word on YouTube, but I hope they forgive me. But anyways, most of those circumstances, most of those things that happen, most of those crimes, you'll see that often it really goes unpunished. So if the rules exist for some sense of higher justice, is it really like that? How is this not something that human beings just created out of thin air? Or maybe we created it due to keep society running, you could say, but society runs even though this doesn't seem to be the actual case. I mean, I remember somebody saying something about Andrew Tate's situation. Now, think what you will about Andrew Tate. Is his a justice sort of thing? There are people who will say yes, it's justice. Some people will say no, it's unfair because he's innocent. Where does the truth actually lie here? And where does it come in where you could say that there are some universal ethical principles? Okay.
At the pre-conventional level, Finn is driven by fear and Mary by self-interest. Both judge what is right or wrong by the direct consequences they expect for themselves and not by social norms. This form of reasoning is common among children.
Yeah.
At the conventional level, Betty responds to peer pressure, and the teacher follows the rules. Their morality is centered around what society regards as right. At this level, the fairness of rules is seldom questioned. It is common to think like this during adolescence and adulthood.
Yeah, this one is often seen in adolescence and adulthood. But I think even the pre-conventional level, you normally see adults who are still in a pre-conventional level. You can see adults, or at least that's what I've been able to observe. I've been able to observe adults who do the same thing. Even recently, I heard of a situation. I think it was on this channel, Better Bachelor or so. I'm not really sure exactly where it was. No. It was Tim Pool. It was the Tim cast. And it talked about a woman who was the R word, the strong R word, on a train, public transportation, and nobody lifted a finger. Nobody lifted a finger out of fear. Especially no man lifted a finger out of fear because they were afraid. Because if you lift a finger, according to what it seems, what they were saying, if you lift a finger to help somebody in such a situation, you might end up being charged. So then you're forcing adults to go back into the pre-conventional level. It seems that's where it comes also that it could be a social construct. Where's the universal justice in this case? Where's the universal justice?
At the post-conventional level, Jesse knows that things are complicated because individuals may disobey rules inconsistent with their own morality. The headmaster follows a universal ethical idea, at complete disconnect with what society thinks or the rules say. To him, everything is solved through compassion. The right behavior, in his opinion, is therefore never a means to an end, but always an end in itself. Not every person reaches this level.
Okay. So that means it's an end in itself in terms of being ethical or doing the right thing seems to be right. It's like the Erythrophil dilemma. Is good something that exists beyond the gods? Or is it something that exists because the gods will it to exist? Or the gods say it to exist? And so it's like, it's weird. That comes into it. My ideas on that, I guess I'll get into that another time. If good exists as something apart from us, or if it's something that the gods or God brings down to us, or whatever it is.
The American psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg based his work on Piaget's theory of cognitive development.
Alright, so he based it off of Jean Piaget's work. Piaget, I studied him. I think I'll eventually do a video on him. Amazing, fantastic psychiatrist or psychologist.
In order to confirm his theory of stages of moral development, Kohlberg interviewed boys between the ages of 10.
I'm sorry if you hear some weird noise in the background. There's something going on in the house that somebody's making a whole bunch of unnecessary noise, but hey.
10 and 16. He analyzed how they would justify their decision when confronted with different hypothetical moral dilemmas. American psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg based his work on Piaget's theory of cognitive development. In order to confirm his theory of stages of moral development, Kohlberg interviewed boys between the ages of 10 and 16. He analyzed how they would justify their decision when confronted with different hypothetical moral dilemmas. We will now present to you the most famous moral dilemma Kohlberg presented to his students.
Okay.
Let's see what you would do. The Heinz Dilemma. A woman was on her deathbed. There was only one drug that the doctors thought might save her. The druggist that made that particular medicine sold it for 10 times the price of the production costs. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, was poor and could not afford to buy the drug, not even with the financial help of his friends. Heinz then asked the pharmacist to sell it to him for half the price, but he refused. To save the life of his wife, Heinz broke into the man's laboratory and stole the medicine. Now tell us, should Heinz have stolen the drug? Would it change anything if Heinz didn't love his wife? What if the person dying was not his wife, but a stranger? Should the police arrest the druggist for murder if the wife had died? Please write your answers and their justifications in the comments below.
I didn't do that, and I think we're gonna end the video pretty soon. At least this reaction part. But let's look at that dilemma. The Heinz dilemma. I think Heinz is justified in a weird way. Even if we take the post-conventional level and say that there is a universal justice, if there is a universal justice, that means that universal justice, where does it, who brings it about? Who brings it about? Is it fair? Is it just that Heinz's wife should be sick and should die? Is it fair that, is it just for Heinz to be in a bad financial state? I mean, the majority of people in this world, 99% of the people in this world are poor. I mean, is that just? Is it right? So why should his wife die? And he's doing it where he doesn't bring any sort of harm to anybody in terms of stealing the drug. He goes and steals the drug according to the dilemma, but he doesn't hurt anybody in the process of stealing this drug. What he does is he goes and steals it so that he could save his wife. Now, does that mean that he should have done it for some complete stranger? I can't say so. There's no attachment that he has to that person. He has no attachment to a complete stranger. There's a difference between somebody's wife and then a complete and total stranger. I wouldn't expect that somebody would steal a drug to come and save me when they don't know me from anywhere. But if somebody does so in order to save my life, and it's somebody who knows me, a family member, somebody who loves me, I think even though the stealing is supposedly wrong, this is where the universal justice thing comes. It's wrong to steal, but if it's wrong to steal, why is it that it's also seemed to be like wrong to let somebody die when you can't save them? You see, and in this case, who did he hurt? Who? Are you gonna say somebody who's rich enough to buy the drug? But the drug, it's supposedly there's more than just one of them. So if he steals one and doesn't hurt anybody in the process. As for the pharmacist being arrested, I don't know if he's the one that made the drug or whatever. I don't think he needs to be arrested. But I do think that in the world, we do lack compassion. A lot of people do lack compassion. I mean, right now it's money that rules the world. I mean, and because of it, Heinz would be in that situation. Because of it, we see all the people in the situations that they are. I mean, what we value in this world seems to not really be the ethics or the morals. But you let me know what you think. Do you think it's wrong for Heinz to go and steal the medicine to save his wife or not? Anyways, thank you for joining me. Please, again, like and subscribe, and I'll join you in the next video. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.